Future Now Show. Brought to you by the Club of Amsterdam.
Hey Futurists, welcome back to the Future Now Show brought to you by the Club of Amsterdam. We have a great show for you today. Joining us from Mentum, New Jersey is digital health expert and president of Nosta Labs, John Nosta. Hi John, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure, Katie. I'm looking forward to having a robust conversation with you today.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the digital health industry. Why is today an important point in history?
Well, you know, I want to talk about today because today is a really cool time in human history. We're very lucky, you and I and all the listeners are very lucky to be alive today at this moment. The point I want to make is that we often talk about it as a Gutenberg moment, you know, the discovery of the printing press as this pivotal or inflection point that empowered people. And I guess to a certain degree that's true. But my point is that it's really not a Gutenberg moment. That's wrong. It's much, much bigger than a Gutenberg moment because we're looking at not only simple and fundamental changes in technology, we're seeing a sense of social urgency. We're seeing a sense of strife where people are more interested in their well-being, in the democratization of life and medicine. And we're also seeing this grand sense of wonder. We're motivated by multiple factors. Now, not to get too long-winded, but I want to go back 100 years. And if you think about the year 1900, what happened in the year 1900? Nothing, right? Nothing. And the interesting stuff started to happen around 1914, 1915, 1916. Things like the Russian Revolution, World War I, the discovery of the mass of the electron. You know, 9.1 times 10 to the minus 31st coulombs, or 1.6 times 10 to the minus 91st coulombs. And it was these events that started the intellectual revolution that kicked off the century. Now, there's lots of cool stuff that went on there, including the emergence of the airplane as part of a technological solution to travel. Now, jump ahead, 100 years. What happened in the year 2000? Nothing, right? Nothing. Y2K didn't happen, right? So there was a little bit of a glimmer of something going on, but really look at 2015. 2014, 2016, you're seeing the empowerment of things like genomics, things like the smartphone. I mean, remember, the smartphone only came around 2007. So I would argue that we are seeing the beginning of the 21st century now, today, in our conversation between you and me. That's why I think today is not only important, it's a profound inflection point in human history driven by multiple factors.
It is. It's very exciting, definitely. So what are the most important trends developing in the digital health space today?
This is such an important question because I think the answer changes every month or week or certainly every year because of all the amazing technological advances. But we're seeing certainly genomics play a profound role in our life, from something as simple as 23andMe, where we can get evaluated and see a basic rudimentary genetic profile, to things like CRISPR, selective gene editing, a technology that is amazing and really a fundamental game changer, to companies like BioViva and Elizabeth Parrish, who is actually using gene therapy to modulate two important parts of her life. The first is chromosome cap, telomeres, and the other one is myostatin, which is a compound that inhibits muscle growth. So they just announced new results that showed some level of improvement. I'm still skeptical, but I think genomics is fundamentally important. AI is real cool, real important. And again, that's because we have the data storage. We have the processing power now, and we're developing algorithmic analysis really to build these transhuman brains, if you will. So AI is cool, but I'm going to switch it the other way. It's not only AI, artificial intelligence, because remember, Elon Musk said that it's the boogeyman and they're going to all kill us, like all the horror movies. Think about it this way. It's IA, it's intelligence enhanced or intelligence augmented. And we're seeing that right now with something as simple as Surrey. We're seeing that in clinical medicine, and we've seen it for a long time, where we're looking at an EKG or other diagnostic data that's being filtered through a computer to help give out a differential diagnosis. So certainly AI or IA is going to be very, very important. I think a third element of this is going to be the whole idea of robotics, and whether that be a self-driving car or aspects of intraoperative augmentation for surgeons. So I'm going to come full circle, okay, and go back to our first question and kind of talk about 100 years ago, because I think that driverless car is really, really interesting. And it's another indication of why today is important. Back in 1915, you could look up and you'd see this thing called an airplane. It wasn't a real fancy airplane, but you'd look up and the first thing you'd say is, oh my God, that's really cool, but I'm not getting in that thing. And it's that feeling of wonder and concern that is captured today the same way. But today, it's not looking up and seeing an airplane. That's generic. That's boring. That's not even on our radar. Today, we look out the window and we'll see a driverless car. And what are our first instincts? Number one, that's cool. Number two, I'm not getting in that thing. We still have that sense of fear, very similar to 100 years ago. So the driverless car gives us that sense of technological advance, which is very practical, very realistic, very relevant to our lives, but still has that sense of concern that's sort of combined with that sense of wonder. So final note to that is that yes, the 21st century begins today, and yes, the driverless car is completely analogous to the airplane, giving us both intellectual and emotional perspectives on this reality. But 10 years from now, and probably even less, when that driverless car comes to pick us up and take us to the airport, we'll have the option of having a human drive us, and we will choose the driverless car. Why? Because the human driver is too dangerous. Exactly the way we feel now. So it's going to come full circle and very, very, very interesting world.
Absolutely. It's very exciting to see. It's a really great analogy. Thank you for sharing that. And so unfortunately, we only have a couple minutes left, but I had to ask you this question. Mm-hmm. What is the democratization of health?
Maybe, I think we need a new word, right? I mean, maybe democratization is such a tough one. We talk about that all the time. You know, anytime you go to a digital health meeting, there's always a component of patient and consumer empowerment. We see that at Apple and its watch and Health Kit and all the apps that let us track our steps and our heart rate and our pulse oximetry and all that kind of stuff. And that's important. So the democratization of health is owning your data and taking control of your life. But I think that to a certain degree, we're going to find that the democratization of health very well may be less of a democracy and more of a republic. It might be a two-party system. And that made the role of the informed clinician. And the clinician, I don't know who the clinician is going to be. Is it a doctor? Is it a nurse? Is it a data scientist? But these people will play a fundamental role. So I think that the notion of build it and they will come, which we're seeing a lot of startups kind of believe in, really kind of takes out a critical element, and that's the clinician. So these new products like digital thermometers that they're selling to moms, if they can get a certain clinical advocacy, pediatricians who say, yes, this is good, you can use it on your kid, I think that goes a long way to democratizing health. So it might be a little bit more complicated. Finally, it might come down to gang rule or mob rule too, that if people stand up and say that I want my, whatever it is, I want my MTV, I want my MAPO, I want my digital health, it really might be that kind of disruptive political dynamic that we're seeing around the world today.
Well, whatever it is, it's going to be exciting, that's for sure. And so thank you so much for joining us today. It's super great to have you on the Future Now show.
My pleasure. And
it's now time to go build a better future. Yes.
All right, I'm in.
All right. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye.
You too. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye, Katie.